We can't limit the way God makes himself known, but there are typical ways. Certainly creation. Many people come to know God through the mountains, the sea, the beauty of the created world. But preeminently, we know God through people and people who imitate Jesus. God sent his only Son, Jesus, and Jesus did what? He revealed who the Father was. So preeminently, we know who God is through those people, first of all, Jesus, but those who follow Christ and imitate him. And here is the way of imitation, again, preeminently, that Jesus lays out in the Beatitudes. And for all those who have imitated Jesus on earth, we remember those people today, all the saints. The saints known to us that we grew up with, of course, the ones wearing the white robes here on the statues, the ones who are canonized that we venerate and honor, but all the other ones, the hidden ones that not many people know of, that walk among us, even here tonight. Those who seek and desire to follow and imitate Jesus, and those who have gone before us that have imitated Christ and dwell with him in heaven. Just want to go through these Beatitudes here. They've always been something that we hear them, but what really is going on here in the Beatitudes, and why is it so important that Jesus gathers everyone on this mountaintop and speaks in this way? Let me just parenthetically say here about being a saint. It's the normal way of Christian life, it would seem, that Jesus is laying out for us. Following the Beatitudes is part and parcel with being a follower of Christ. We do that, we become saintly. I remember years ago, 10 years ago, in one of the major newspapers in this country, they listed about, 70 professions and ways of life that people would aspire to be. And kind of the typical ones were at the top, professional sports, etc. But what was near the bottom of the list was being a saint. And I guess there's something there. Maybe people don't see it within themselves. I could never do that. I don't want to aspire to it. But I would say there's something more basic and less exhausting about trying to aspire to be a saint than simply following the Christian way of life that Jesus lays out for us here. Blessed are those, so the Beatitudes start with that word. Could also be said, how fortunate you are if you have this disposition in life. The first one, blessed are the poor in spirit. How fortunate are the poor in spirit. And maybe we've gotten twisted around. What does this mean? Do we have to be poor? What does poor in spirit mean? It's the person who has entered into the classroom of dependence, where they depend on God day in and day out. Maybe you know someone like this. Maybe you are like this yourself. I've always depended on God. I always pray to him. I bring everything before him. Good. Keep in that direction. That is a beatitude. That is a saintly disposition that you are living. It's the Beatitudes start there. The classroom of dependence. I'm depending on God. Blessed are those who mourn. So no one wants to mourn, but what is this mourning? It's this continuous love that the person has in the face of trial. Again, you know people like this, that when they face trials in their life, whatever it may be, conflict, health, whatever it is, we notice there is this disposition of continuous love that they exhibit. Blessed are those who mourn, they will be comforted, they will be consoled, or more rightly, they will be drawn to the side of God, not dismissed by God, but drawn to his side as they continuously love, as they mourn. If you're like this, keep doing it. This is a saintly way of life. This is a Christian way of life. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. I've never liked that word meek. It sounds like weak. Would that the English word were menth. Blessed are the menth, because they will have strength, but it is not. Blessed are the meek. What does that word mean? It is not weak. It's the person who knows that they are loved by God. It's the person who is always vigilant. They encounter situations in life, trials, conflict, rejection, but their disposition in life is one of goodwill. I'm willing to see where God is operative in this encounter. We know people like that. We know people who have the sense that they've always been loved by God. If it is one of you, keep doing it. A Christian way of life, a saintly way of life. My great aunt, she's still alive in her mid-90s, but as a kid, and all the way to this very point, she always tells the children in the family, when they come and visit, large family, she always says, I love you. In the kitchen, she's cooking, whatever, I love you, I love you. The kids in that family grew up, they knew they were loved by their mom and their aunt. The people who know they're loved by God are the meek. They're self-possessed, they know who they are, they're comfortable in their own skin. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for justice. So, not any type of justice, but justice where humankind and God are in a right relationship. We know there's a fracture in our world. We see it all the time. But those who really desire that there be a right relationship between God and humankind, this is a beatitude. This is a Christian way of life. These people refuse to accept the injustices of the world. That's a Christian way of life. It's a saintly way of life. If you live this way, keep living it. You're a witness to people. You will be satisfied, maybe a little bit in this life, but certainly in the kingdom to come. Blessed are the merciful. There is nothing more to be said. Jesus says this, if you show mercy, you will be shown mercy by God. How do we do this? It's self-forgetfulness. Give what you have to those who are in need. Give what they most need. And give what you are most in need of yourself to other people. I need mercy. I need joy in my life. Well, I will give it away, and it will be given back to me. If you're one of these people, a Christian way of life, a saintly way of life. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. Again, here, yes, there is moral uprightness, but it's more than that. It is the clean of heart do not see themselves as the center of their own life. There's a self-forgetfulness here. Others hold a place in my life that is at the center. God, family, other people. It's not that I dismiss myself, but the ego has been deflated. I look at God and others first. We know people like this. If you're one of those people, Christian way of life, a saintly way of life. 3 more. The peacemakers. And this is not simply, let's call it truce in the worldly sense. It's a connection to Jesus on the cross. All peace flows from Jesus, from his pierced side and heart, from the cross. These people are connected to Jesus and see the beauty, the peace that is offered by Christ. And they seek and strive to live this way in their life. If you live this way, a saintly way of life, a Christian way of life. Blessed are those who are persecuted for justice's sake. These are people that recognize God's plan for the world. that God wants people to convert to him, to imitate his Son. Not just any plan for the world, but God's plan for the world, for God's plan of salvation. When people have this disposition in their life, working and wanting to see God's plan for salvation carried out, it's a Christian way of life, it's a saintly way of life. Finally, because of me, if you suffer evil, when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you falsely because of me, when there is an endurance there, but the operative word is because of me, people like this know Jesus in the bones. They have a very earthy, heartfelt relationship with Jesus. That's a saintly way of life. That's a Christian way of life. If you live that way, keep living that. It's a witness to the world. I'm reading the news, or I'm online watching. Ireland is going into a country lockdown. The bishops of the country are wanting their churches to stay open. England just announced it today for another 4 weeks, a country lockdown. I was thinking about that. How is God known when things begin to lock down? Not the last resort, but God is known by the way we live our lives and imitate Christ. God could be known through creation, through the beauty of the churches, of course, in the Blessed Sacrament in the Eucharist. But it is also the way we comport ourselves and the disposition that we have. And it is not to underestimate the saintly way of life that many of you are living already. A lot of times we can catch ourselves thinking, my life, it's not that great, I'm not doing that well. When in reality, the disposition has been sown in your heart many years ago, and you live it in a very ordinary way. It's what we celebrate today with All Saints' Day. Yes, the canonized saints who inspire us, but many people who have gone before us, living an ordinary Christian saintly life, who now enjoy communion with the Lord. But this goes on and on. This is how we hand on the faith, by living it ourselves, so that others may catch the fire from it, and we may be a witness to others.